Hello everyone and welcome to another Kelly Telly video. Today we're going to be moving on to a new unit in the textbook, that is unit 2.3, Reactions of Life. Now, reactions of life, we're going to talk about the chemical reactions involved in the everyday processes that happen that are essential for life to survive. This little diagram I've got up on the screen now is a good indication of two of the main ones we've got here. And I'll be talking about this diagram in a little bit more detail a little bit later. But for now, we are going to focus on one of these two main processes here, and that is photosynthesis. Don't worry too much about this diagram. As I said, I'll explain it a little bit later on. So, photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? We're going to be talking about that today. We're also going to be talking about how it is essential for not only plants, but for the survival of other organisms as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about how it happens. But our main focus today, as it is the chemical world, is the chemical equation of photosynthesis. We're going to talk about that in detail. So yeah, let's get right into it. So photosynthesis. Let's have a little bit of a look at it and see what are the components that help to make a successful photosynthesis reaction. So just in general first, photosynthesis is a series of chemical reactions that green plants use to produce the sugar, glucose, and oxygen. So what do I mean by a few of the things in this little sentence here? So green plants. Green plants are ones that have a special pigment in their leaves called chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll is the tool that helps these photosynthesis reactions begin to occur. The photosynthesis reaction in general is when a plant, a green plant, produces glucose and oxygen. Okay, so the main thing the plant is trying to do is to produce glucose, because just like humans and other animals, the plant needs food to survive. But plants are special in the sense that they can make their own food just from the gases in the air and the a little bit of water and the light. So in the end, oxygen is just kind of what we call a byproduct, meaning the plant didn't necessarily want the oxygen. It's just a part of the reaction there, but we're very thankful as humans because we actually use that oxygen to breathe. So yeah, I think the best way for us to jump into this is probably to look at the actual chemical equation itself. We'll get to that at the very end. What we're now going to look at are the reactants. So if you'll recall, reactants are the component of the any chemical reaction that combine together to produce the products. So the reactants in photosynthesis are three of them. First one is water. Water is essential for all photosynthesis reactions. The water, the H2O molecule is essential. The H molecules and the H elements and the O elements all are essential in this process. We've also got sunlight. Now, it's interesting that I've labeled this as a reactant. I mean, it's technically is it helps to make the reaction work, but it's not technically a reactant. But we're gonna call it a reactant nonetheless. And that is that it needs sunlight to go ahead, a photosynthesis reaction. Why does it need energy? Because it is an endothermic process. If you recall, endothermic reactions are ones that require energy. Remember, we used the example of an ice pack, right? Where it absorbs that energy and it makes it feel very cold. Photosynthesis is a reaction that needs energy to work. Another example of an endothermic reaction, one we use is cooking. You need to add energy to the uncooked food in order for it to become the cooked food. So in the same way, sunlight is needed for photosynthesis. And the third product is carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide exists very abundantly in the air, so plants have basically full access to carbon dioxide. When you look at these reactants, you can see how easy it is for plants to have to get the reactants it needs for photosynthesis. The hardest one probably being water, and hence why we need to water our garden in order to keep it alive. Because if plants don't have their photosynthesis reactions, then they don't produce enough glucose for themselves to eat, and therefore they die. But yes, carbon dioxide is the third reactant, and it's very easy for plants to get a hold of that because there's obviously plenty in the air. CO2 does come from obviously waste from us burning fuels, but it also exists from the other main area that it comes from is from us breathing, and we actually breathe out carbon dioxide, as you guys would already know. Okay, there are three reactants of photosynthesis: water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide, and they all react together with the chlorophyll of plants. This reaction is endothermic, aka it absorbs energy. So when you see a photosynthesis, well, sorry, when you're asked what a photosynthesis reaction is and you're asked what the reactants are, you need to say three things: water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide. Let's move on. Have a look at the products. The products in a chemical reaction are the ones produced by a combination of the reactants. It is what comes out on the pointing in the direction the arrow is pointing to when you write up a chemical equation. So having a look here, we have the molecule glucose, and we also have oxygen. Now, just talking about glucose first. So glucose is a molecule that we call a sugar. Now, the chemical definition of sugar and stuff, it's not important for us at the moment in our science journey. All we need to know is that glucose is a product that lots of animals get energy from. You think it's a type of sugar, so you think whenever you have something sugary, it makes you very energetic. Now, it's the same for us when we eat our food. We get our energy from glucose sometimes, um, and plants are the same. So everything needs this kind of glucose sugar energy to survive. And what we do, as we spoke about yesterday with digestion, is we take these kind of molecules of glucose and we break it down into the individual components, which we use to build up, to repair our skin, to, help our hair grow, and to help us have the energy just to move in daily life. So yes, in terms of photosynthesis, one of the products produced is glucose, right? The other product is oxygen, and we're very thankful for this. So plants produce oxygen as a byproduct, as I said before, meaning that it's not necessarily what the plant wants. It's just kind of like in the same way we exhale carbon dioxide, plants exhale oxygen, and we use that oxygen then to breathe. Now, these are the two products produced by photosynthesis. There are two products of photosynthesis. Glucose and oxygen are produced by the plants. Plants use this glucose to survive and release the oxygen that it doesn't need into the atmosphere. So yes, there's a bit of a give and take relationship between humans and other animals and plants. So plants produce oxygen. By breathing it out, we breathe in that oxygen and we breathe out CO2, and then they breathe in the CO2. So, putting it all together, we have the chemical equation for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide plus water, using the sun's energy and the special chlorophyll within plants leads to the formula for glucose, or they've just called it sugars in this image that I got off the internet, and oxygen. This is a very important equation, boys. You need to know this equation. When you are writing it, because the sun does not have a chemical formula, we put it above the arrow because the sun just helps the reaction to take place. Okay? The sun helps the reaction to take place, so we write it above the arrow. We also write under the arrow chlorophyll, because that is the special component of green plants that helps photosynthesis to occur.